Hello everyone, it's Tailz from Studio Wildfire here. I've just added a few more bits and pieces to the Isometric Map Tiles Volume 2 pack, and I'm going to try them out by building a small dungeon in Fantasy Grounds. So I've just added the module pack to Fantasy Grounds, so let's get rid of some of my old test maps. So we're going to build a brand new one from scratch. So here is our blank canvas, and we go to our assets, and we make our canvas bigger. Now first things first, set the map grid. Here we go. So if you have the Isometric Map Tiles pack, you should find in the core folder this little picture, and it will tell you how big to set your map grid. So you change the map grid from the regular square to this diamond one here. That's the isometric one. Now you come over to the size, unlock the aspect ratio because they are two different sizes. Change the width to 710, and the height, if I just click it, goes to 354. There we go. So that's all set up. You can leave the grid off or on, personal choice. I'm going to leave it on for the moment. Now, what am I going to build? Is a good question because I don't exactly have a plan. I do have a plan in that I want to test out a few bits and pieces, so let's just pop this down, zoom out a bit. There we go, there's our map grid. Okay, delete that. Oops, helps if I'm in the layer selection tool. Now, let's do so I've got some grass tiles I want to try out. So let's do like a dungeon entrance. So let's do sort of like an outside area. So let's make let's look for some of these broken floor tiles, which I think that's them. Yep. So I'll use that one. So we'll put an entrance here and a sort of an outdoor area here. So let's sort of make a little outdoor area. So I'm going to start with some of these dirt tiles that I've recently made and some grass ones. There's some grass bits. Come down this side. Now this is just a little outdoor area, so we're trying to get into wherever it is. Oops. I'm just going to quickly plop these down. Let's add in just a open bit of dirt. Now this is where we're going to get into the interesting bit, because I want to have just some straight dirt here, back into the grass, then another piece of dirt. Now this is where we want this one. I think this was the very first one I put down, that one. So we want to bring it up the top so it's got the right layer ordering, and then we'll go another dirt tile, and then another one, and then another piece of grass. So we're back around this side. So I did 4 squares on that side, so I'll do 4 squares on this side. So we'll go a bit of dirt, another bit of dirt, some grass. Then back around to some grass. Another piece of dirt, because, you know, why not? So the grass tiles are basically brand new. I need to sort of work on them a little bit more. But that's generally the idea I'm sort of looking for. So I've got 2, so we need a... pop a bit of dirt in. This will be the final sort of... There we go. So that's our outdoor start area. So let's pop a sort of a wall along this side. Oh no, actually we'll do a little water feature. So a little water feature here, which I will have to assign. So let's just go ground. Grab that. Pop it all into the ground layer. And lock it so I don't mistakenly click on anything. Or actually move anything. So we're going to put a... So this will look a little bit weird because I'll need to order this better. So into the water. So I'll have like a little water channel. Actually, I might make it wider. So we'll start with... Come up here, next, there. Let's go. That one there. That one there. That one there. There again. There again. Now we need corner pieces. Which are these ones? So we need this one. And we need... Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's down here. There we go. Now we want to have these broken ones, these broken bricks. So we go back to the floor. We go looking for the broken bricks, which I think is these. Oh, nope. Where are you? Is it these ones? Yep, that's the ones. Okay, so I've already used that one there, so we won't use him. This one. And this one. Oops. Yep, that's what we want. Those there. Now you can see these look wrong because I should have made this together with this, but I'll move this around so it is in the right spot. So then we're going to have this come back. So back to our water. So I turn. That one that we want. And then these ones. There we go, excellent. So, we'll pop these into a folder, call it canal. I'll pop these under it. So there we go, that is where it should be. Excellente. So we're going to put a door in here and a wall. So I'm going to have the wall set in a separate folder so I can hide it, so we can see things behind the wall, or we can turn the wall on and have it hidden. So let's go up here. So I'll just make the wall now. Okay, so I'll start up here and I'll make it this way. And we'll make it from some tumbled down wall sections, because we'll have a secondary wall on the inside so we can hide it. So we want these ones. There. I'll put a window here. So that's at the back of all these pieces. There it is. So we want the outside. There we go. And then back up to the top. So back to these pieces. Oh, no, I haven't used that one yet. Now we want a doorway. And we want the outside of the doorway first. Now back to the walls. We want this one. Oops. Oh, that's the inside. We want northern walls. Here we go. Because you've got to think about each. The way I've saved everything out is you think about placing all the pieces in one square first. So this is a northern wall. This is on the inside of this square on the northern side. That's the best way to think about it. And you can tell which facing of the square that they belong to. In the file name, before the number at the end, there should be a letter corresponding to north, south, east, and west. So this one has window A, so design A, dash N, which is north facing, and 0 number is just the, if I make different generations of it. So there we go. There's our window. It'll look a little bit weird because we've got so many broken pieces, but when I put the second inner wall in there, it'll look correct. So let's go back up here. So we grab this one, pop it there. One. Okay, so that's going to be the outside wall. So I'm going to put a second layer, which is actually going to be inside here. So what I'm going to do is I'll hide. Actually, I'll pop those into a folder. I'm going to call it wall, or foreground wall. These in there. There we go. So now I can hide them all with one click. So before I put this in, I'm going to actually create some floors, which means I've actually got to think about what I'm going to have in here. So let's go up to our floors. Let's use these ones because I've just created these. Or actually, no, what I'll do is I'll have these broken ones come inside a bit. Yep. So I'll pop that there. Now again, I'm going to have to rearrange this a little. But I'll pop that there. Then I thought I had another generation of the broken walls. Looking. So many assets to go through. Okay, these ones. So I'm going to use these here. Now this is going to require a bit of rearranging. So I should have placed. So those I want to use there, because I want to then use these ones, these curved ones. So let's start with, because that one's down that side. So that's the top. Okay. So I'm going to do a 3x3 room. It's going to have these. Now, does that match? Yeah, it's close enough. Oh, no. Don't like those ones. I'll use these ones. Yeah, they look right. Now, back to curved, which I think is this one. Yes. There we go. So see how it's curving around? Now, to do this one, I think is one of the... Well, we'll use that one. We'll just drag it up the top. Put it there. And then we'll use this one. Put it here. And the same for the next one. That's why layering levels, the order that you put them in is kind of important. And I'm going to move this whole section when I've got it in a folder. But back to the curve. So I think I want this. Pop it there. And then it was these tiles. That one there. And now we want the turn. That one. There we go. So this is our first room with a couple of broken tiles. So let us pop that in a folder. Call it foyer dash floor. Put all of those into there. Then we want to have this down below the canal so that the canal overlaps there correctly. Good, good, good. Then we'll move it there. And that is how that'll work. Now we've got a window here which I want to be in this first room, which means I'm going to have to add some more detail to this. So I probably should have thought about this beforehand. Let's pop this there. Make this run down this side. Oops. And pop these guys there. Oops. I think they should have been above that one. There we go. Okay, that's in the right position. So because I built this out of order, I've got to fix up the layering, because this layer should be over the top of this one. So I've got to work out which one that is. The problems you have when you build things without a plan. That one. I'm going to turn all these off. Because it should start coming in there. That's the problem. Should be that one, that one, that one. Oh. Now this one should be up here. Okay, so I need another block there, so let's pop one in there. So that should be in there. No, you should not be there. You should be there. Then you, no, this should be you. There we go. So we then need another one here. That. And it needs to go in here. And that, yep. That one. That one. Then we need another one there. I think I've used that one already, so we'll go back to use this one. And bring it down. Oh, go in the right spot. Okay, that's where that should be, and then that. And now, good. Okay, now we've got to put another row down here. So let's start with this. Good. Okay, now we're in the right position. Excellent. Okay, so I built that the wrong way around, but we get there. Or did I? So that comes in there. Okay, let's have a look at our foreground wall. I put the window here. Okay. I probably didn't want it there. That's okay. Let's get rid of that. And let's put in a wall. So back up the top here to the walls. So I'll have a doorway here and a doorway over here and a doorway out to something out the back. And this will be a room by itself. So let's build that in. Now I'm going to use solid walls. So this is the eastern side wall. Yep. But first I'm going to need a corner. Not that one. This one. Okay, so starting with this corner. So that goes there. And those are western walls. We need eastern walls. There we go. Now I did say I was going to put a door in here. So we'll have it go there. Okay, so let us go grab our doorway. Here it is. Oh, no, up the top. There it is. That one. It needs to go there, which means it needs to go there. That can come out. So that's our doorway. So we'll have a doorway here. So I'll just put it in there now. But I'll have to move that when I put the extra pieces in. Okay, so that's the doorway in position. So I need to use filled in on north walls. Which are these ones? So there. Now this is where the doorway is. It comes up there. And then put that one there. And that one there. that's our room. So now that's the background wall, because usually you don't put in the foreground wall. Otherwise you end up with that happening. But we've got a plan, which is why I'm putting the walls into folders. So we'll go background wall. Pop it in there. I'm going to lock it. So I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it the foyer. No. Add folder. Well, what's going on here? There we go. The foyer. So this is the background wall of the foyer. This is the foreground. This is the foreground wall of the whole complex. So that should technically be up here. So I'm going to put the whole lot in a folder and call it dungeon. Okay, so, yep, that's right. So this is the foyer. So this is the background wall of the foyer. So it goes into the foyer folder. There we go. And now we've got the foyer floor, which goes into the foyer. The canal and the ground should go up here. There. Excellent. So the foyer is now one piece, and we have the wall and the floor are separate pieces. So we can hide them when we need them. So back to my assets. Now we're going to need... Now I have some faded walls which I made to go in positions like this. There. So that way it looks like, it gives the impression that the wall's coming back, but it's transparent because, you know, we want to see in here. But we want these to go into the foyer. Oop, we want it to be on top. Oop. There. Okay. So they're now in the right position. But I do want to actually put in the inside wall here of this room in another folder. That way I can hide it separately. So let's go back to our core folder, go to floors. Oh no, not floors, walls. Okay, so I'm going to use the full ones. So these are going to be never soggies. Which gives away how I remember north, south, east, and west. Never eat soggy wheaties. So I need southern walls. So that's north, 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 southern. So I'm going to start over here. Hang on, I think I've got a window right there, so where is it? Where is it? The foreground wall. Yep, there's a window right here. So what I'm going to do is go and grab my window. So this is the inside area of the window. Plop him there. And I'm going to need another one here, so I'll have to come back for that. Well, actually, I'll put it down now, but I'll hide it, knowing that I've got to come back for it. And I'm also going to need the door. So I'll grab that now while I'm thinking about it, and that should go there. But again, I'm going to hide it. Back to the walls. Yep, southern wall. Okay. So that goes there. This is where I need the door. Yep. Then we need another wall. And now this is where we need this window. There we go. Excellent. Excellente. So this is also a point where you can see, well, actually I'll finish this wall. So I need west walls going up here, and I'm going to need the doorway. So I'm going to need this one. Let's pop it there. So back to walls. So your east, your northern, southern, west. There we go. So pop that one there. This is where the door should actually go. And then this. There we go. So this is our foreground wall of the foyer. So we'll pop it in a folder. So this is a foreground wall, but it belongs to the foyer, so we'll pop it in the foyer folder. So it should go there. Excellent. So this means if we turn on our foreground front wall, yep, it's now hiding this section here. And the cool thing is, if I go and hide the grid, because we've got a two-layer wall, the holes that are created by the walls, these wall sections on the front, are actually filled in. You can see the second layer of bricks in there because we have the foreground wall from the foyer in there, and we can see the inside of the door frame. Pretty good, yes, no? And the good thing about it is that because we've got it all in folders, we can come along and, when the characters come walking along here, come to the doorway, and then when they go in, we can hide those foreground walls, so we can now see into this room. So one thing I might do while I'm here with this room is I'll put some objects in. So we've got a few props and objects that are coming for this with this set. So we've got cages, mugs, vases. Let's go back up the top. So we'll get a table, small table. Here we go. So a very small table. Pop it in. So you hold down Control. See how it's at the moment it's snapping to the grid. So if you hold down Control, you can just place it wherever you like. So let's just put it directly in the center of the room. Now, what other props do we have that we can pop on it? So we've got, we'll put a chair there. So the chair directly beside it. put a silver jug on it. Yep, there we go. And let's put a tankard. Oops. So there's a tankard sitting on the table as well. There we go. So that's, that should, the characters will walk straight in. They'll go, oh, there's a chair with a little table beside it. So that's rather odd. And then, let's put something else in interesting. Let's put a trunk. This large chest. Oh, let's try and get it so it's actually... Is that the hinge? I think that's the hinge. Yep, okay, so put this in. Let's put it over, just sitting over there in the corner of the room. Just random bit of stuff. And let's put a chandelier or a ground standing. So let's just pop it here. So it's like, it's if someone's expecting visitors. So I'm going to once again put those into a folder. I'm going to call it props and objects. There we go. And then we'll put the props and objects into the foyer. But we got it again. So we want it underneath the foreground wall. Whoops. There we go. So when we turn the foreground wall on, it gets hit. Excellent. Now, that's pretty much how I'm going to build each room. So each room will be its own little folder. So for example, here we are. So as we're playing this adventure, you could hide, only what the characters see. So they can see the foyer and they can see the front wall. And then as they can see the outside area and this little water area. And then as they come along, you go, you've looked in the doorway. You now see, you look through the doorway. You now see this room. But let's build a staircase here. I'll show you how to build a staircase. So now the good thing about popping everything into folders is that you can actually, while you're working on something, you can just hide them. So let's just hide the entire dungeon for now. Go up here. So we're going to have a corridor come up this way, which will go up to another level. So let's start with the floor. Now I'm going to use these tiles because I just recently made them and I want to try them out. And I'll turn the grid back on so I can see what I'm doing. Make certain it all lines up to the grid. So because this is going to be a staircase, there's actually going to be staircases the next level up here, and this is coming down. So these floor areas are actually underneath the steps, but I'll show you why I'm putting in the floor first. So it comes along, and then we have a turn. And does that. Okay, so now we're going to have a wall along here and a wall along here. But again, we want to have the foreground walls we want to have hidden or hideable, and the walls that will overlap. So for example, the wall that's going to go along here is going to overlap this. So we really want that. We really want to be able to hide that as well. So let's make a folder. Let's call it staircase to upper level. Now this is going to be the floor. And now we want to put the staircase to upper level inside there. That's the way. So that again, we can just move or hide the entire thing. Now, let's put in the wall first. Actually, no. Let's build the staircase, because since the wall's going to be in this folder, we should be able to build it without worrying too much about the steps. Okay, so these are the pieces we're going to use. So we could use all these pieces, but we've got two folders up here which are called cut out both walls and cut out one wall. Now, this staircase, or this staircase element, this one is designed so that you can just go and whack it in. It goes in normally, like it would go here, because it's got the floor element as part of it, and it's sitting on top of that. These ones are actually designed, and it takes up the full width of the corridor, the full width of the 5x5 grid square. That's what all of these do. Some of them also have faded pieces, so you could come along and put that one. So for example, you could do this. So you'd have that. So if you're going, right up, and you don't need to see the brickwork below, you can have that fade out as it goes up. But we're going to be not using those, because I want to have walls along either side. So we're going to use cut out both walls, because it's got a wall on both sides. Now you'll see that this comes with blocks, and they slot into position right in the middle of the floor section here, under the idea that you're going to have a wall come down this side and a wall come down this side, and then the stair goes on top like that. So that's going up to the next level. So you could just do that, and that's our staircase. Now it looks a bit weird at the moment because we don't have the walls in. So that should go into our floor, because it's actually a piece of the floor, and it probably works best. There, okay. So that's in the right place now. So that's part of our floor. So if we turn the floor on and off and on, it's part of it. So let's actually lock that, because I'm happy with that. Let's lock the dungeon as well, because I don't want to move anything in there accidentally. Okay, now let's do the back wall. So we're going to have now I made some special wall transitions. Here we go. This is what we're looking for. So this is going to be our eastern wall, our background wall, and it goes. This one is going to go there. Okay, so it looks a bit weird now, but there is method to my madness. I'm going to put the next one in. it goes there. Now, this is overlapping the staircase, but I'm going to move that in a moment into its own folder. But the main reason is that you've got this steps section here, which follows these steps, and you'll see it'll look good in a moment. So let's go back to our normal walls. Go and find, here we go. Pop that one there, and this one here. And again, let's nope, that's for the outside. We want the ones at the very end. There. Okay, you'll notice that there are two different fade walls. This one, or sorry, there are two different styles. If I can get that one to drag out. Now, this one snaps inside the square, but it has a little piece taken out for assuming that it's going to be butting up against a wall. If you see these other ones, hopefully I'm not sounding so groggy, these other fades, these can go in pretty much the exact same position, but they are assuming that there's no wall in the position. See how it's going right up against the edge of the square that it's in. So you'd actually do a faded wall. You could do a faded wall like that. That would be your inside wall, and that'd be your outside wall. But we're not going to use that. So let's get rid of it. Okay, so we're going to want to put a wall in here. So this is where we could really use this. Whoops. Not that one. This one. So this is where we could really use this. Because that way we can put in a faded wall. Because we want this area to be faded so we can see the steps. Okay, so, but I'm now working on two different walls. So let's leave that there. Let's make a folder. Call it staircase. Oh no, it's in the staircase folder. So we'll call it background wall. And that's where all of this goes. Okay, now this goes into the staircase folder, but it's behind the floor folder because we want it behind the staircase. Now the question becomes, okay, so I can't do that. We actually want the background walls on top of this, so we need to move the staircase into its own folder. So, bit of trial and error. Staircase. So the staircase is these three. Let's pop that into there. There we go. There we go. Everything's now, it now looks correct. The staircase bricks are over the top of this wall. We have this wall coming down here, which has, now we'll put this fade into this background wall folder. There. So that way when we'll turn it on. Oh, that's that one. Okay, we don't want that one in there. Let's put that down there for the moment. Or is this one already in there? Ah, it's already in that folder. Okay, cool. So what I might do is, no, I won't put the fade in here because that'll just look weird. So I think that tells us enough that there's a wall running down here. And this whole thing goes up to a next level. But we will want to put a doorway here. So let's go back here. So that goes there. Let's just put that into there for the moment. That goes there. So let's turn on our dungeon. So let's hide the staircase to the upper level. Turn on the dungeon. Turn on all the bits of the dungeon. But we'll turn off the foreground wall, just so we can see this. Now we want this staircase coming in here, so let's turn the staircase on. Oops. Bunch of stuff just jiggled around. I don't know why that happened. That's really weird. When you move it, a whole heap of stuff moves. That might be something to take up with the fantasy grounds people. Okay, but the staircase wants to be down here. There we go. Wonder if it was just a layering issue. Nope, it's jiggling stuff around. Okay, so anyway. So that goes there. So if people get into this staircase, we can come along and we hide. We can hide the foyer room. But you know, it's a work in progress, this pack at the moment. But that should be enough to give you an idea of what you can build with it. I hope you have a lot of fun building your dungeons with the isometric map tiles, and this pack will slowly evolve over time. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a fun time watching me blunder around building a dungeon. Thank you.